Yeah.
All right. We will, excuse me, call the finance and personnel meeting to order for December 17th. Roll call, please.
Kevin Schmidt.
Here.
Scott Meverden.
Here.
Midge Swedberg. Wayne Schmidt. Casey Boer. Lee Dashlet. Amy Johnson.
Here.
Don Ortley will not be in attendance tonight.
Confirm the meeting in compliance with the open meeting. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to approve or to make changes to the order of the agenda.
So move second.
Moved by Wayne, second by Kevin. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Everybody have a chance to read the November 19th meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Motion by Scott, second by Mitch. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Everybody have a chance to look at the bills. Any questions? Not a motion to approve. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mitch, second by Casey. No discussion? The roll call, please.
Swedberg. Boer.
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Yes.
Dashlet. Kevin Schmidt.
Yes.
Meverden.
Yes.
Conference attendance, David, looks like you have something?
Yeah, the winner of 2025 Police Chief Association of Wisconsin Police Chief, their winter conference. I think it's February.
Motion to approve by Casey, second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment? Anybody for public comment? Public comment and 3 times. No old business. New business. Go on then.
Yeah, so this went through Park and Rec and worked using part of the 25 budget. We worked through to replace a lawnmower at the parks and move one from the parks up to the cemetery. We're looking to get it ordered before January, so we'll probably receive it around April as a thought. We're looking at a Toro instead of a Hustler. Toro's a little bit cheaper. The warranty is 5 years instead of 3 years in the Hustler. I kind of price matched from Maze versus that Sourcewell, which we had used in the past for purchasing the playground and stuff. And the program to Toro is actually cheaper than what the Sourcewell one is. And overall, the Toro versus the Hustlers, our price is probably about $2,500 cheaper than what we had in the so we're actually replacing one at the cemetery, and then we're gonna take the 60-inch from one of the 60 inches from the parks, move it to the cemetery, and then this one will go down to State Parks. The cemetery one, the bigger one for you won't be able to get in between the stones with it. You'll be able to do the rows with it, and they say it saves a lot of time with that 60. We'll probably put on that surplus option.
I'm gonna go for those. Motion by Amy, second by me. Roll call on that.
Kevin Schmidt.
Yeah.
Swedberg. Boer.
Yes.
Dashlet. Johnson.
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt.
Yes.
Meverden.
Public affairs, Casey, yes?
So we have some funding that we have in a perpetual care fund in the cemetery. it was, last we looked, is about $53,000. It's reinvested until June. Just looking to get approval, and I don't know if you guys saw, we had a map in there today of roughly what we'd be able to cover with, that, the funds there. We're just looking to get approved, so I can hopefully lock in a rate with, Northeast Asphalt to get that done in summer.
I'll make that motion for road repair expense.
I'll second.
By Lee, second by Lynn. I have one question.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a motion for the whole 52,000?
It's really, I think we were talking, if we use it to try to use the whole fund, so it could be 53, could be 55, whatever is in that. Whatever we earn in interest, basically, and then use it all.
That fund can only be used, that's perpetual care at the cemetery, that can be used for the cemetery.
All right, do you want to do a call on that one?
Gaslit,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Wayne Schmidt,
Yeah.
Swedberg, Beverden.
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Resolution for the fire skipping.
Yeah, I can start, the fire chief and is here as well, but asked by the council, I think a month ago, to revisit the fire department because of the way their increases were. So we sat down with the fire chief and went through this kind of line item by line item from top, obviously, to the bottom. We removed a couple of things, so you can see some people's wages went up, but we've taken some categories away down at the bottom where there used to be. So the two categories were building maintenance and pagers. Those dollar amounts didn't go away. They just got moved up and dispersed into the current different stages here. Okay. So with that, I'll entertain, or the chief will entertain any questions that anybody has.
Can you explain building maintenance?
So I'm gonna why don't you go ahead and then
The
I'll,
building maintenance was something that we have put into years ago. When it was actually Kevin Clark was the individual that was handling the building maintenance stuff, where he was doing the resurfacing of the upstairs floors and he was taking care of all of that stuff. And because of Matt and Casey with the Public Works Department, they're taking care of that now for us. You know, we did light changes, you know, they took care of all of that stuff through the Public Works. So we basically eliminated that dollar amount for building maintenance. So if that answers your question. What was that about?
I have it, $540 a year.
So now, like, right now, they're in there working on the boilers this week. Does that go against that building maintenance fund? Then how does that-
we just take care of it as, just like if Chris is here working on the boilers here at City Hall, we don't bill that against the city.
It's not separated out by department.
That is correct. If somebody's on site outside of the city, if a contractor is here in the fire department basement, that would get billed at the fire department's budget. Or here at City Hall, we would bill that against City Hall's budget, but we don't, for Chris, like every week, every Monday, usually he comes down, checks the boilers. We don't count that hour. Correct. Yep.
And for the fire department, we have a regular building maintenance account as one of our line items. You know, so if we need to purchase, you know, that air unit that we just bought, you know, that
Air
heater,
handler.
you know, some of that comes out of our building maintenance account. But the labor for it, we're lucky enough that those guys were able to do it, so saved us a substantial amount of money there.
One more question for you.
Yep.
Training officer.
Yeah.
This divided out by, what do you have, 3?
2.
So is that divided? This 1135, is that covering both of them, or is that for each one?
No, that's covering both
Both of them?
I have a question, administrator.
Yep.
You have an administrator, and then you have an administrator investigator. Does the same guy?
No. No, we have 2 positions. We have an administrator, which is Casey, and then an administrator investigator would be Casey. And then we have an administrator that handles some of the other, data entry, I'll call it, into our computer system, and that's currently Jim Miller.
Okay. And then besides that, he gets a lieutenant pay.
Correct.
How many part-time do we have? Just one.
One. Well, two, because we have, Joanne Sala, who's our inspector.
Oh, she's considered part-time.
Correct.
The other is your typical maintenance of the food side.
Yes.
Why?
Anybody else? Are you looking then for a motion for both of these at one time or separately?
I think let's take them separately.
Okay.
Yes.
And we give it to the next first to the fire section.
Yes, we'd be looking for a motion to approve the resolution. Thank you, Scott.
I'll make you want to.
Motion by Scott, second by Casey.
Johnson,
Yes.
Dashlet, Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Meverden, Swedberg, Moore,
Yes.
Yeah, Matt.
And
Yes.
I want to make a clarification on the EMS one. I think there may be been just a little bit of a typo here. For the EMT basic.
It's been changed, Gus. We caught it this morning.
Oh, okay.
Ours is changed.
If you're looking online, it's been changed.
Yeah.
Okay,
In the system, if you have a paper copy like this.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's been corrected.
We were paying the basic more than we were paying.
Yes, yeah, okay, thank you.
And we felt that was fair, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Think that this morning.
Well, we're good too.
We're still complaining about that part-time guy when he gets paid.
Yeah.
All right, the more, outside.
By Scott and second by Lee.
Swedberg. Yes. Kevin Schmidt.
Yes.
Dashlet, Johnson,
Yes.
Meverden, Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Moore,
Who would be the baby boss?
Yeah, so this is something that came up through the PPP. The fire chief has been working with the Knights of Columbus on this. And I guess I'm going to make it very simple. We ran into a roadblock with the MOU. I brought it over to our corp counsel for review to look at it prior to tonight. And we have some issues where we run up against the state statute on some things. So at this time, there is no action that will be taken. There's physically nothing we can do to consider this at this time. So I would just ask the council that we move to item F. A lot of hoops to jump through. So I'm glad we went through a lot of the hoops yesterday before spending a lot of time talking about it tonight. Yes, so this was something that was put on the agenda for a conversation to start, I guess, the conversation. We don't, as everybody can see in their packets, we don't have the nuts and bolts. I guess what I would like to start the conversation and have with everybody and open up the floor for anybody's questions, but is two things. If this is something we want to do, then we will start kind of the groundwork and bring it back next month. Question number two is if this is something that we decide the majority wants to do, then what do we want to do with that money? Okay, where is that money going to go? And I will try to answer myself or Jamie any question that we can answer. It's a lot of data collection. It's a lot of work. But if this is something with the direction we want to move, then we will start to collect that data and bring it back here. Does that kind of make sense what I'm looking to accomplish tonight? Scott's shaking his head like, I want the nuts and bolts of everything.
Then I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
What are we proposing?
Well, if we would take the fire protection, okay, the fee, right now, currently, the way it is, the way it sits is we take out of our general fund. I'm just gonna use the number $500,000 for this conversation. We take that out of our general fund, we put it into the fire department's budget. The fire department in turn pays that to the utilities for fire protection, okay? Because the PSC, the Public Service Commission, they look at if you didn't have fire protection in the city of Algoma, you could downsize all of your water mains. You don't need 10 8-inch, 6-inch water mains to supply water to anybody's house. We could downsize that. But to get the flow that we need, or the fire department needs to put out a fire, that's why the mains are upsized to the size that they are, okay? It's to get water flow.
We're talking about
The hydrant fee,
Okay.
yes, okay? So that is the way it currently works now. If we would take the fire protection fee internally, okay? That money would stay into the general fund. The utilities would put that out on every month's utility bill to collect that charge to make up that $500,000. Is everybody still following me? Okay. Then that money becomes left in the budget. If that money is left in the budget, okay, you can say it's double dipping because we're putting it on the tax roll because it's general fund. And the utilities now is going out and every month they're going to send everybody a bill with that hydrant fee on it. So part two of my question is if we're going to keep that, what would we do with that money? Are we going to borrow that much less to use that? Or how would we use that monies? That's question two, because if question one is we're not looking to go that direction, well, then question two kind of comes germane.
question one should be answered first.
Correct.
Sassy, you expect, right? We had that conversation, right? Where now, based on the share or whatever, that we don't, it's not essential, it's not imperative that we do it immediately. Is it something that will?
This was brought to the table, thank you, Casey, the last time. At the time, we thought that we were gonna have to get ahead of this because we were gonna need it to start to balance the budget. Okay, then state shared revenues stepped up to the plate and took care of that issue today. And for the foreseeing future, maybe next year, maybe the year after, obviously, we don't know how that falls, where the state shared revenues are they gonna continue? Are they going to stop in time like they did? If that happens, then there might be a point that we would use that money possibly to balance the budget.
Well, at this point, what that figure would be, unless we go to step one, right? I don't know how much it's gonna adjust on a, pay on a user. But then everybody's paid, right? Not for profits, everybody pays.
That is correct.
We don't know what kind of effect that will have, because right now with our new project, what are we gaining? 40 water meters with that new project?
The RDA water project, I would say there'd probably be 41. There's probably gonna be a common one or something, maybe like outside faucets. The water meter is all 1 meter? I apologize. So what size meter? Pete? Oh, okay. So that'll be 40 electrical meters, but only 1 water meter. Okay, thank you. So that will be only 1 water meter.
And your average water meter in the house is 3/4.
5/8.
I guess, yeah, that would be my question is what's the end user implications for it?
To give you a number off the hip, somewhere close, I would guess that if you had a 5/8 meter, the lowest that every property, every homeowner would pay would be at the lowest $20 a month. That would go on their water bill. Bigger meter, bigger fee.
What is the surrounding community doing? What's Kiwanis,
They do 50% of it.
there's a base on
I think Sturgeon Bay is 100. I
it?
do
I think
believe,
it started out at 15.
and I think they went to. Now, I think that's a good question because part of this, if we decide to move forward, causes that there would be a full-blown audit, water audit would have to be done. That audit, I think the last time Nancy talked to us was gonna be somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. If we do 50% of it, you're gonna spend that 20 or 30,000. And then in turn, you're gonna, well, we need the other 50%. You're gonna spend that again. You're gonna repeat what you just did, whether it's in 3 years or in 8 years, you would have to do that audit the second time.
Did he pay for that audit?
Do you know, the utilities pays for it? The utility would pay for the audit. I don't know if Luxembourg does anything at all. I can't answer that
I
question
don't
for
recall
sure.
it being on a Luxembourg utility bill.
What does the audit do? I mean, why is there an audit? I guess
Why does the Public Service Commission do an audit?
audit if you're changing from to a user fee?
I think it is the,
They would decide. What each meter would be paying, they would disperse the money. However. They see fit. We have no say in that. We have they give us a dollar amount, like Pat said, 500,000. And now they will go through and say, your residential will pay this much on 5/8, this much on their 1-inch. When you're okay, this much. That's how, what they're part of.
So actually, until you do the audit, there's no way we could come up with a figure on what this is gonna cost you, right?
You can be pretty close because we know we got about 1,620 meters, 1,630 right now. And we got
But-
$180,000.
As a utility fee, you don't lose anything. You get your money regardless whether it's coming from a user fee or whether it's coming out of our budget. Correct? Or I do that all over now.
Yes, it's getting paid for right now. I see no reason to, to jump into adding more costs to the taxpayers for the user fee. I would rather see us take a look at it again next year and see what the dollar amounts are and where we're sitting, to me to raise it now. We don't know.
When would this go into effect?
Yeah.
it would be a solid year. I think at the earliest. If we decided in the next, let's say 2 months, I think the earliest it would take effect would be January 1 of 26.
How many non-for-profits do we have that don't currently pay?
I'm gonna turn to you again on that, Pete.
We're probably over half of them though.
But remember, the city is probably about half of them. Yeah, because you have to look at, like, the marina, we have 3 meters alone, city hall. Public works, fire station, you start to add up our meters, we're a decent portion of those. That's now- We would, the city would be paying that on every one of our water meters as well, depending on every size, there'd be a different price to 5/8 and then, every meter we have would go up as well. I think is the biggest meter we have in town a 2-inch meter, 3-inch meter. And that's ours. Medical center.
So what does that entail? We say, council, the majority says, let's go to step 1. What does that entail? How much time, how much cost to take that next step?
We would then start to do the data collection. I think we could get that, where I said $20 a meter. I think we wouldn't know that for sure until we had an audit, but I think we could sharpen that number and get somewhere close. Like Pete said, if we just use $500,000, right? And we know we have this many meters, X amount of them at this size, X amount at this size. I think we could fine tune that number a little bit. I can't give you a definite until the audit would be done, but I think we could figure out where that number would lie.
Well, we could take that step without doing the audit. give us a better handle on what this.
That is, so if you would say, let's look into this, we wouldn't go and order an audit. But we would start to do some preliminary work to bring back.
That current thing we have right now for, first one and the one they're gonna pay on here. They go to the utilities, they say if the 5 days, you're gonna be roughly just. Whether you could use that in chart or perhaps, or figuring for the 5 days.
Yeah.
What happens if you? Stipulation. or increase and all that in that area?
Well, so the fire chief's question is there's a development that comes into play and they add so many feet of main and they add 4 more fire hydrants. Okay. If whatever day that we decide to do this and the audit's done, and that number's $500,000, that's what we budgeted. And that's what the fire department pays the utilities is $500,000. That stops in time. That is a one-time, the city doesn't get any more than that 500,000. We keep that doesn't go from the fire department to the utilities. But the utilities is still going to, anytime that fire protection gets replaced, added on, that bill is gonna continue to go up. Right? So the utilities, if you're paying $20 every month now, and all of a sudden we add 4,000 feet of 8-inch water main in the city, everybody's bill might go up $1. Because the utilities doesn't collect any less. They don't just stop. That hydrant fee still is gonna go to the utilities to maintain that fire protection. I feel like I maybe lost some people in that conversation.
Have more users,
Yep,
wouldn't the overall rate drop for everybody?
it will. But if you add 3,000 feet of 6-inch and you add 4 users.
Right.
The whole city is gonna to clean that up. If you add 3,000 feet of 6-inch water main and you add 200 users, everybody's possibly could go down a little bit.
That's not actually have to be evaluated, because the assessment is based on what exists, so the add, is that based on that previous audit, or is there a standard for new added things, or do they have to reevaluate?
Well, I can tell you every year they file a report with the Public Service Commission and the DNR that says how much main they've added, how much main they've replaced, how much main they've upsized. And I don't know if that's what they would use every year then, if that's where your calculation would come in. So they fill out, a report. At the end of every year, the Algoma Utilities does. They added 5 new 2-inch meters, 7 5/8 meters got retired. They're no longer in use because houses went away or whatever the circumstance was. A property went from a 3-inch meter down to a 2-inch meter. That gets reported at the end of every year.
Yeah, I think it's worth taking, I mean, if we can take a look at it about, an inordinate amount of invested time, right, to get that kind of broad strokes of something that we're gonna work with, it'd be nice to have some loose numbers at least to play with, to have a better understanding and make a better decision. If it's not imperative, I don't necessarily relish the idea of adding more user fees, especially, the second question, we figure out what we're gonna use that money for. But it's, at some point, it becomes, it's nice to have that information available, or if we do have to take action, we already have those steps. But is there an advantage either way that you see, or does it not matter?
I think, there's a little bit of work that's gonna go into it. Like I said, if we decide, let's look into this, we're not going to order an audit. There's some things, I think we can bring some more educated numbers to the table. Does that make sense? And I think we can sharpen up to what are we gonna do with this money? I think that's a big portion of, if this is the way we're gonna do it, is what is that money gonna be used for? If we're not going to, if we're gonna take this hydrant fee and we're gonna continue to borrow X amount of dollars every year. I think if we're gonna take this money, then our borrowing should come down by that amount of money.
But don't you, I mean, taxpayers, I'm putting it on a user. It's like the garbage and everything else, garbage is part of your budget.
Yep.
But on a user fee, then I would expect some reduction someplace along the line to protect. I mean, I would be in favor of that taking that 500 and saying, okay, now that we're putting it on the user fee, now we're gonna take that 500, we're gonna give it to the fire department, so they got an extra 500 in their budget. Because as a taxpayer, I'm sitting back and saying, okay, what am I gonna get in return if you're gonna put it on the user fee? I want something back from that. I don't want to have to still my taxes in there and still have to pay, you know, whatever the user fee is gonna be.
Well, even if it's $240 a year, that's $20, that's a lot, and their taxes are not so much.
Well, I think. So. I don't think that's
Well,
right.
the majority of people went up at least $20.
But you see what I'm saying?
So I guess you would wanna use the money to try to lower property taxes.
I mean, you gotta do something. We sit back and everything keeps going up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But you gotta look at ways that we as a council and that we can look at ways that maybe conserving and cutting back a little bit where we could save some of that budget. And not increase it every year. It automatically goes up simply on benefits.
Yep.
I mean, that's our highest cost item, but is there other places that we can look to try to reduce that?
I think we're chewing on the question too.
No, but I'm saying, he wants to know if I'm in favor of one. I'm in favor of one to the point, let's see what the numbers are.
That, I think that's as far
What
as
you
you
said, yeah.
So. Then further games, when we find out what flushes out, then we can have a broader conversation.
You want a motion on that?
I think, yeah, we could just make a simple motion. All in favor to explore. If that's what the majority wants, yeah, I think we'd just make a motion to.
Yeah, make it happen.
Casey would make the motion. Second,
I'll second it. Nobody else.
second by Wayne. Any other discussion?
Could I get a full motion? Could you just tell me exactly what you want in this motion so I have it captured?
Yeah, move forward with getting
explore information, get a loose, estimate of the impact that this would have.
On the fire protection charges.
Okay, so explore the information on the fire protection fee charges and the impact.
What would be the impact that would have on the end user? On the meter.
Do you want it broke up by meter size so you'd be able to know?
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna be able to give you, until there's a full audit, we're not gonna be able to give you that number. What we're gonna be able to do is get you kind of close to where that's gonna be. I tonight just used $20. That maybe is 11, that's maybe $23 on a 5/8 meter.
But I don't. Idea if you can impacts.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah.
This, I mean, it's.
Okay, so we're looking for, Casey has made a motion to explore information on the impact of the fire protection fee charges on the end user. Does that give you guys enough? And that motion is seconded by Wayne Schmidt.
Right.
Okay. Sure. Beverden,
Yes.
Dashlet, Swedberg. Boer,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt.
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt.
No.
Johnson.
No.
The yeses have it 4-3.
And then just a conversation, a part of the looking into this, does anybody else? Wayne had talked a little bit about using this money to lower taxes, okay, and it's something that we have to look into and how that effect possibly would be. That we could bring that back as the next talking point. Does anybody else have any other, what they would want to see? Or is that kind of what unanimously everybody, that's what they feel, or?
right? That's far.
Well, every 3 years we do capital borrowing. How would that, you know,
Because in the end, like, how you, if you lower the taxes so far, because there's an end result, we don't know what interest rates will be in the future.
Correct.
I don't. Because immediately reducing property taxes doesn't necessarily, foretell in the future, that it's gonna be sustainable. So I mean, I think that, I mean, it's worth looking at it, but is there a way to see the impact of, let's say we do use it as borrowing, how that saves us as far as interest goes and
Mhm.
future payments, because that will have an impact on potentially on property taxes also.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I guess maybe that's one of the same.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the means that you use to do it, but, I would not want to sacrifice future prosperity for a short-term small gain potential, is my concern.
Possibly just taking that lump sum and paying it up as a principal payment for some of our borrowing too, so that, you know, less time or whatever that, I mean, that's also an option, I think.
Is there a way that we could use that money, put it into a fund for raises and insurance? Just
It would
the way
just-
that
It would just have to go into the general
General
fund
yeah.
balance, and then you'd be using fund balance to support your budget throughout the year, which we typically don't do, but that's the only way you could do it.
Well, so, if no, things are going up in this way that it would be safeguarded if it were to fact.
I don't think that's gonna sell real well with the public.
Yeah. Those, but just the thought.
And we don't, here again, this isn't, I mean, these are just some general ideas that I'm not going left and everybody else is thinking something else. I just, some general ideas of some things that we'll bring back as talking points.
I'd like to see the overall impact on, you know, for the taxpayers, if there was a way to, you know, make the taxpayers more. I mean, yes, it was said before, taxes went up, percent more than others. Not every point to go down, if we have the opportunity to do that, we should look into it.
Okay.
The only other thing I would maybe recommend is, I mean, if there's $500,000, that's $500,000 for two projects that we believe, that's a big chunk.
Capital.
Projects.
Okay.
Because again, that's less borrowing. It should have.
Okay.
Implications of-
Does anybody else have any questions on it? I think that gives us some direction and we will kind of keep this.
I believe, yes, I'm open to looking into it, but.
Okay.
I think that it's probably gonna come back a little bit higher than $20 and be more like the $30 range for regular 5/8, but going up. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, don't, like I said, I just quoted and used the number for this conversation. Don't hold me to that number,
Dig into it.
but if it comes back there at $20 after, and remember what I said.
Any other suggestions? If not, we move on. Any agenda items for the next meeting? Anything from Matt? Our next meeting date will be Tuesday, January 21st, 5 o'clock. We look for a motion, go into closed session. Kevin, it's a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 subsection 1, section C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This would be the public services manager. That's second. Second by Mid. All in favor?
I'm sorry, could we get a roll call, please?
Sorry.
Who Swedberg, Johnson, Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Dasslet, Meverden, Wayne Schmidt,
We just have to record when
Yeah.
we came out of open session.
6:13.
And who?
Motion by Wayne and seconded by Kevin. Did not do a roll call, it was unanimous vote.
I'll make a motion to move forward, from the civil administrator position and add them to our current public services manager while promoting him to public services director.
Second.
Motion by Scott and second by Mitch. Would you like to report on that?
Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Amy Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Scott Meverden,
Yes.
Casey Boer, Swedberg, Mitch Swedberg, Lee Dashlet.
Thank you. Very good. Adjourn. But Mitch,
Second.
who wants to go home?
So it's- We got a whole nother meeting to get through.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Well,
yes.
What's that?
Yes.
You need a copy of it?
Okay, sorry about that. Final call to order. Special common council meeting, Tuesday, December 17th. Roll call, please.
Kevin Schmidt.
Here.
John, not, I'm sorry, John Ortlieb is not going to be here. Scott Meverden,
Here.
Mitch Swedberg, Wayne Schmidt,
Here.
Casey Boer, Lee Dashlet,
Here.
Amy Johnson.
Here. In the meeting is in compliance with the open meeting law.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Motion to approve, comment changes to the order of the agenda.
I'll move the order of the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Amy, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The old business, new business. Resolution 12-12.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 12-2024. Second.
Scott, second by Casey. Roll call, please.
So I have a motion by Scott and a second by Casey Boer to approve resolution 1212-2024, a resolution relating to setting stipends for Algoma Fire Service volunteers. Kevin Schmidt,
Yes.
Midge Swedberg,
Yes.
Casey Boer,
Yes.
Lee Dashlet, Amy Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt, Scott Meverden,
He would be the next resolution 12-13-24. Yes.
I'll make a motion. Resolution 12-13-24.
Motion by Lee. Second by Casey. Roll call, please.
Lee Dashlet,
Yeah.
Casey Boer,
Yes.
Amy Johnson,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt, Midge Swedberg,
Yes.
Scott Meverden, Kevin Schmidt.
The next resolution 12-14. There's one more purchase.
I'll move approval of the DNR resolution 12-14-2024.
By Amy,
Sounds good.
second by Lee. Roll call for that.
All right, motion by Amy, second by Lee for the purchase of the Toro Commercial 500 Series lawnmower for the Parks and Rec. Amy Johnson, Lee Dashlet, Wayne Schmidt, Kevin Schmidt, Scott Meverden, Midge Swedberg, Casey Boer.
All right, and we'll get on to the next meeting. Next meeting date, Monday, January 6th. 5 o'clock. I would look for a motion to go into full session. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985, section 1, subsection C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Public Services Manager.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Scott, second by you. Roll call, please.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Kevin Schmidt, Dashlet,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Meverden, Wayne Schmidt, Ware.
It looks like it.
All in favor?
Give us 1 second here, Mayor, so we can be back live. No. Good, Jamie?
Not louder. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yep.
Right. Action as a result of the full second.
Make a motion to move forward with the segregation of duties from the public works director from the city administrator position and have them to our current public services manager while promoting them to the public services director.
Okay. Next Scott, taking some lids.
I remember.
By now you should.
Do you want to roll call on that?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Casey Boer,
Yes.
Midge Swedberg,
Yes.
Amy Johnson, Kevin Schmidt, Lee Dashlet, Scott Meverden, Wayne Schmidt,
Adjourned. By Lee,
Second.
second by Amy, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.